So guys, now it's time to predict the group of death. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dominic Rich. If you're new around here, consider hitting the subscribe button because I'll be covering the UEFA Champions League all season. As you can tell by my tone of voice, this is the group of death, Group F. If you're interested in getting one of those cards behind me, please visit cardsplug.com/dominicrichfc and plug in the coupon code dominicrichfc to get yourself 5% off. And be sure to look around the website for more discounts. In Group F, we have Borussia Dortmund of Germany, and they placed second in last season's Bundesliga. And then there's Barcelona of Spain. They were last season's La Liga champions. And then we have Inter Milan of Italy. They placed fourth in the Serie A. Then we have Slavia Praha of Czech Republic. They were last season's Czech champions and they came through via the playoffs. So let's first start with Borussia Dortmund, who are currently managed by the 61-year-old former Servette and Swiss international midfielder Lucien Favre. The former Zurich, Hertha Berlin, Gladbach and Nice manager joined Borussia Dortmund last season, where they continued the trend of being perennial bridesmaids. Favre's finest hour as a manager came during his time with Zurich, when he won league titles in 2006 and 2007. So let's talk a bit about their Champions League highlights. With 8 German league titles in total, Dortmund are one of only 2 German teams to ever win the Champions League. This illustrious feat was accomplished in 1997 when they defeated Juventus 3-1 in the final. They almost won a second in 2013 but fell short to their league rivals Bayern Munich. Dortmund has been quite impressive in the UCL this decade, making it to the final once, the quarterfinal twice, and twice in the round of 16. Could Dortmund reach the heights of Champions League glory once again? Possibly. Maybe. Key players for Borussia Dortmund includes their captain and stalwart Marco Reus. When fit, he can be the most majestic player you can ever see. And then there's Jadon Sancho, the 19-year-old wonder kid. In 60+ appearances for the club, he has 17 goals and 27 assists. Not to forget goalkeeper Roman Bürki and Axel Witsel and Thomas Delaney in the middle of the field. Key transfers in the summer includes Matt Hummels coming back from Bayern Munich for 30 million euros. And then there's a left winger Thorgan Hazard from Borussia Mönchengladbach for 25 million. They also brought in the German international left back Nico Schulz from Hoffenheim for 25 million. And they spent more bringing in the German midfielder Julian Brandt from Bayer Leverkusen for 25 million more. Borussia Dortmund also made Paco Alcacer's loan move from Barcelona permanent, paying 21 million for the striker. This has to be the most money Borussia Dortmund has ever spent in a single transfer window, 127 million euros. So they will definitely hope that this translates to success. Although they brought in a lot of players, they also let go a few. And those players includes the centre-back Abdou Diallo to PSG for 32 million euros. The forward Max Philipp to Dynamo Moscow for 20 million. Young promising striker Alexander Isak to Real Sociedad. Sebastian Rode to Eintracht Frankfurt. Their longtime midfielder Shinji Kagawa to Real Zaragoza for 3 million. Well, that's kinda cheap, right? It's kinda sad how Kagawa got froze out of this team. Christian Pulisic went to Chelsea and Andre Schürrle on loan to Spartak Moscow. Like, what's really going on with Schürrle? He just keeps moving all over the place. Fulham, Chelsea, Wolfsburg, Moscow, Dortmund. Like, what's going on? They made a total of 74 million euros. So guys, as we all could remember, Borussia Dortmund were quite impressive in last season's competition. I think they even topped their group, but they got knocked out in the round of 16 by Tottenham Hotspur. So let's move on to the mighty Barcelona, who are currently managed by the former Athletic Bilbao, Espanyol, and Barcelona forward Ernesto Valverde. Valverde was so impressive during his playing career that he won a solitary cap with the Spanish national team. Well, just cut that out. He started his coaching career with Athletic Bilbao as the assistant, then he managed the second team and eventually the first. Valverde then had managerial stints at Espanyol, twice with Olympiacos, then at Villarreal, Valencia, and then he returned to Athletic Bilbao in 2013. In 2015, he helped Athletic Bilbao win their first piece of silverware in 30 years when they defeated Barcelona 5-1 on aggregate in the Spanish Super Cup. 2 years later, Valverde was announced as Barcelona's manager, where he has won the league title in both seasons in charge. So let's talk a bit about Barcelona's Champions League highlights. Long story short, the 26-time Spanish champions has only missed a handful of seasons in the Champions League, winning it 5 times. Their first win came in the last edition of the European Cup back in 1992, then again in 2006, then in 2009, 2011, and lastly in 2015. Behind league rivals Real Madrid, FC Barcelona has won the most Champions League titles since the competition was renamed in 1992. In the last 4 editions of the Champions League, the Blaugrana has made it to the quarterfinals 3 times and infamously dismissed last season in the semis by the eventual champions Liverpool. And you best believe Barcelona are out for blood this season. Key players for Barcelona includes Lionel Messi, one of, if not the greatest player of all time. Barcelona will need him fit and ready if they are to conquer Europe. And then there's the veteran midfielder Sergio Busquets, who's instrumental to Barcelona's style of play. Gerard Piqué, the leader of their defense. Jordi Alba at left back and Marc-Andre ter Stegen in goal. Luis Suarez is also a very important player for Barcelona, but he needs to contribute more than he did last season. Key transfers includes the signing of Antoine Griezmann from Atletico Madrid for 120 million euros. And Griezmann has definitely hit the ground running at the Camp Nou. Europe's best midfielder last season, Frankie de Jong from Ajax for 75 million euros. The goalkeeper Neto, 26 million euros from Valencia. Junior Firpo, the highly rated left back from Real Betis, and the likes of Moussa Wagué, Ansoumana Fati, and Carles Perez were all promoted from the youth team. Barcelona spent a total of 255 million euros. Like, when you spend so much, you want results, right? So Valverde better deliver. And not only Valverde, the players need to deliver, because we can't always blame the managers. But someone has to be the scapegoat, and the easiest scapegoat is always the manager. He is the most dispensable person in the team. Outgoing players includes Malcolm to Zenit for 40 million euros. Like, goddamn, he flopped. Jasper Cillessen to Valencia for 35 million euros. Well, I can't really quite work out that deal. Like, I can't. Andre Gomes to Everton, Paco Alcacer to Borussia Dortmund, and the big one, Philippe Coutinho on loan to Bayern Munich. They will surely miss the services of Philippe Coutinho, because I just have a feeling he's gonna be on fire for Munich. Barcelona made a total of 156 million euros. Well, they did great business, let's just say that. The Blaugrana are definitely one of the favorites to win the competition this year. Well, they are the favorites every single year. Well, they are one of the favorites every single year, right? So the group of death continues with Inter Milan. And guys, if you don't understand what it means to be the group of death, it means that there's 3 or more teams that could possibly win the group. Inter, Barcelona, and Borussia Dortmund. Well, Slavia Praha, man, you might be in for something here, like football death. Okay, so let us talk about Inter Milan, who are currently managed by the 50-year-old former Lecce, Juventus, and Italian international midfielder Antonio Conte. After hanging up his boots in 2004, Conte began his managerial career with Arezzo. Then he worked his way up the ladder to become the Juventus manager in 2011. While at Juventus, he won the Scudetto 3 years in a row before moving on to take charge of the Italian national team. Conte has managed at Chelsea, where he has won the EPL title, and after a brief hiatus, he has returned to the Serie A to take charge of Inter. So let's talk a bit about Inter Milan's Champions League highlights. With 18 Serie A titles, Inter Milan are definitely one of Europe's iconic clubs. Winning the old European Cup twice in the 1960s, Inter's UCL highlight came in 2010 when they won the title under Jose Mourinho. After their Champions League success, they somewhat fell from grace, going on to miss 6 consecutive Champions League editions. They made a return last season but failed to get out of their group, which also had Barcelona in it. But under new management, Inter are back this season, refreshed and ready to challenge. Key players for the club includes their captain and goalkeeper, Samir Handanovic. He is currently the club's longest serving player. There's also the Slovenian international centre-back Milan Skriniar, who has been scouted by many big clubs around Europe. Marcelo Brozovic remains a key player in the middle of the field, and Argentinian striker Lautaro Martinez is rapidly growing in stature. Antonio Candreva also brings a wealth of experience to this team. Key transfers for Inter Milan includes bringing in the big Man United striker Romelu Lukaku for 65 million euros, and the Belgian has definitely hit the ground running. They also brought in midfielder Valentino Lazaro from Hertha Berlin for 22 million, Matteo Politano from Sassuolo, Diego Godin on a free from Atleti, Stefano Sensi, Nico Barella, and Cristiano Biraghi all on loans. All three players are very young and exciting and are currently playing for the Italian national team. They also roped in the Man United flop Alexis Sanchez on loan, and I must mention that because he is a big flop. Inter spent a total of 155 million euros. Now that's what you call showing intent by signing big name players. Outgoing players for Inter includes Ivan Perisic to Bayern Munich on loan. Well, I never thought he would have left Inter Milan, but he finally did. That's quite refreshing to see. João Mario on loan to Lokomotiv Moscow. Bad boy Mauro Icardi on loan to PSG. Well, oh man, I'm not gonna elaborate on Icardi. He was their captain and what's going on? They don't want him anymore. They don't want him. Miranda, the Brazilian centre-back to the Chinese Super League on a free. Raja Niangolan to his former club Cagliari on loan. And the young talented Romanian international George Puskás to Reading. Inter made a total of 56 million euros. I kind of like the business that Inter did during the summer. It's just up to the players that they brought in to deliver. I'm talking about Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. Well, they have really raided Man United, right? So now let's move on to Slavia Praha, who are currently managed by the Prague native Jindřich Trpisovský. Since taking over at the club last season, he picked up his first managerial honors by winning the Czech Cup twice and the Czech League last season. Trpisovský was also awarded Manager of the Year last season, which means the relatively unknown manager is coming into his first ever Champions League season full of confidence, but it can also be a baptism of fire. So let's talk a bit about Slavia Praha's Champions League highlights. Behind hometown rival Sparta Prague, Slavia Praha has 5 league titles in the Czech First League. In 11 UCL qualifying attempts, this will only mark the second time Slavia Praha will make it to the group stage. They first appeared in the 07-08 edition where they placed third in their group. Not bad at all, right? Not bad. Could they place third again this year? Slavia Praha qualified for this season's event by defeating Romanian champs CFR Cluj in the qualifying playoffs. And in the group of death, it's gonna be one hell of a test for the group's underdogs. Key players for Slavia Praha includes their captain and veteran center forward Milan Škoda. There's also Czech international midfielder Lukas Masopust. Thomas Šusek and right back Vladimir Kufal makes up the backbone of this team. Key transfers during the summer includes acquiring the services of midfielder Nikolai Stanchu from Al Ahly. They also brought in right back Thomas Holes from FK Jablonec. Center back David Hovorka also of Jablonec, and the teenage Brazilian left winger João Filippo from Ituano FC under 20. They spent a total of 8 million euros. Outgoing players includes one of their key men from last season, Miroslav Stak to PAOK, Jaromir Žmrhal to Brescia, Michael Ngadji to Ghent, and young central defensive midfielder Alex Kral to Spartak Moscow for 12 million euros. They should have kept that kid. He's good. And they also sold young centre-back Simon Daly to Club Brugge. Slavia Praha made a total of 24 million euros, which means they had talent in their team and they sold it, basically. So guys, now it's time to predict the group of death. So this is not the easiest group to predict. It's the group of death. Let's start with a team who I think is gonna come in fourth. And I'm going to go with Slavia Praha. No way, no how Slavia Praha could place higher than fourth. It ain't going to happen. If it does happen, it will be a miracle. This Slavia Praha team is a good team. The old one from last season. I don't know about this new one, because I could remember them in the Europa League and they challenged. They really challenged. I think they played against Chelsea and they picked up a win or something, or they almost defeated them. And Chelsea went on to win the Europa League. So can't take your eyes off Slavia Praha. You can't really underestimate them too much like I'm doing, but I'm still going to go for them to come in dead last. Possibly maybe they pick up 2 points. Coming in third, guys, this one is tricky. Coming in third, I'm going to go for Borussia Dortmund. Despite them spending a whole lot of money, I think Dortmund are going to flop this year in the Champions League. It's a big call, it's a bold call, but someone has to make it, and I'm going to be the one to make it. They brought in a lot of players. The team is stacked up, but do they have the right balance to succeed in the Champions League? Especially against a very spirited Inter Milan under Antonio Conte. He means business. And guys, we know Barcelona. But, on the flip side though, it's the group of death. Anything could happen here. It can be Inter coming in third. It could be Barcelona coming in third. We don't know. But, I'm going to make the call here, and I'm going to go for Borussia Dortmund in third. Go down to the Europa League. Try to win that. Coming in second place, I'm going to go for Inter Milan. The Nerazzurri. Inter Milan. Second. That's fair enough. I think they're going to do well this season. Romelu Lukaku. Lautaro Martinez. I think they're going to do well. Conte, I believe in Antonio Conte. I believe in Antonio Conte here. And I think Inter are going to come in second. I just have a good feeling about this. It's the group of death. I could eat my words. My prediction could backfire. But I'm going to confidently predict Inter to come in second here. How are they going to come in second? Points here. How many points could they possibly get in this group? Could they pick points up against Barcelona? I think they can. They most definitely can get points against Dortmund. I think they can defeat Slavia Praha twice. So I'm going to go for Inter to come in second here. For Dortmund though, let me rewind back to Dortmund. I think Dortmund could drop points against Slavia Praha easily. That team, I think, is going to frustrate Borussia Dortmund. So now back to the second place team, Inter, before I move on to first place, Barcelona. Inter haven't been in the Champions League quite a lot this decade, but they came back last season. They spent more again this season. I think Inter are only on the ascendancy, so they're going to come in second. Coming in first, last season's semi-finalists. The season before, semi-finalists to a quarter-finalists, where they have been getting knocked out in very weird situations. Like, they're already winning the first leg, and they go away to the second leg, and they get smashed. You know what I'm saying? They just become laughing stock of world football, basically. That's what happened to them when they played Liverpool at Anfield last season. But they are back. But they need a fit Lionel Messi. They have a few guys coming through. Ansu Mane, Fati, sending shockwaves throughout Europe, only 16 years old. Carlos Perez also doing well. They signed Griezmann. Ernesto Valverde, I think you're under a bit of pressure here to deliver. You have to deliver the Champions League trophy this year. Suarez has to come good. Frankie de Jong, we know how good he is. Busquets, but they all need to gel. They need to gel, and they need to play like the Barcelona that we all know. A very, very, very great team. So I'm going to go for them to top Group F, which is the group of death. Guys, let me say this. It could happen. Barcelona could come in third. They could come in third. They could come in second. They could even place last. We don't know what's going to happen yet. That's why we are predicting. And it's also the group of death. So guys, don't forget, if you want to cop yourself one of these cards, you could put yourself on it, put Lionel Messi on it, put your mom or your dad, your sister, even your dog on it. Visit cardsplug.com/dominicrichfc and use the coupon code dominicrichfc to get 5% off. The link will be in the description box down below. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, smash the thumbs up button, and until next time, peace out. Rich Squad.